This video is about quantitative data visualization. Quantitative data visualization is the process of representing numerical data in a visual form. It's a powerful tool for communicating complex data in an intuitive and meaningful way. By using charts, graphs, and other visual aids, quantitative data visualization enables analysts to identify patterns, trends, and relationships in the data. There are many types of quantitative data visualization techniques, each suited to different types of data and research questions. In this video, we're going to talk about frequency, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency distributions. For this example, we're going to use the MT-CARS dataset. So we'll create a variable DAT and assign the MT-CARS data to that variable. Using the head command, we'll look at the first 6 rows. We see that we've got an identifier on the left side, the car brand, and 11 different variables, and those variables describe different qualities of the automobile. What we're worried about here is the MPG column, so the mileage, the number of miles per gallon that the car gets. Okay, so let's begin by making a variable called mileage. It's going to be the MPG column of our data. If I look at that data, you can see that I've got a bunch of numerical variables, and we'd like to know the range here. If I use the range command, it tells us that the smallest value in that data set is 10.4, and the largest is 33.9. The first thing we'd like to make is a frequency distribution table. What a frequency distribution table does is it takes the data and puts each data point into a bin, counts the number of data points in that particular bin. The bin should have equal sizes. Starting a bin at 10.4 seems a bit weird because 10.4 is an odd number to begin with. What we need to do is begin at a value maybe a little bit lower. Perhaps we'll start at 10. And if we increment by 5, that would make our highest bin 35. So how are we going to do this? We're going to create a variable called breaks. This can be a sequence. It'll begin at 10, end at 35, and it'll increase by 5 each time. So if you look at that sequence, we have 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. This is going to help us create bins of size 5. So one bin going from 10 to 15, one from 15 to 20, one from 20 to 25, one from 25 to 30, and a final one from 30 to 35. This, we're going to use the cut command. I'm going to create a new variable called mileage.cut. What we're going to do is we're going to cut the mileage data to bins with the breaks. And then we have to decide whether we're going to use the right side of the interval or the left side of the interval. So for example, if I had the data point 15, is that going to be in the 10 to 15 bin or in the 15 to 20 bin? I'm going to choose to keep the left endpoint and not keep the right endpoint. So in my example, 15 will end up in the 15 to 20 bin rather than the 10 to 15 bin. So if I look at my data here, I've now assigned each point in the mileage data an interval, and you can see at the bottom, I've got a list of the levels, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, and 30 to 35. So what I'm going to do, or what I've done, is I've taken my numerical data and I've created categories for it. And now I'm going to use the table command, like we did with qualitative data, to make a frequency table for this. So I'm going to call this mileage.freq. I'm going to make a table of the mileage.cut data. Okay, and you can see that I've got a nice little table there. 10 to 15 has 5 entries, 15 to 20 has 13 entries. If I want to look at this in a vertical way, I can use the cbind command here, and it gives me a nicer looking table. So that's my frequency distribution. If I want a relative frequency distribution, I can take my frequency distribution table and just divide by the number of rows in the data set. So I'll make a new variable mileage.relfreq, and it's going to be my mileage.freq divided by n rows of the data. And you can see a relative frequency distribution for our data. I can do that again for percentage frequency. I'll call it mileage.percentfreq. And it's going to be our relative frequency times 100. And you can see all the different percentages here. Okay, so now we've got all of our different frequencies, our relative frequency, our percent frequency. It might be nice to display them in a single table together. I'm going to use the cbind command, and I'm going to bind together the mileage frequency, mileage relative frequency, and the mileage percent frequency. And I end up with a nice table here that shows the frequency, the relative frequency, and the percent frequency. So there you have it. That's 3 different ways to display your data tabularly and a way to merge them all together as a single table. In our next video, we'll be looking at how to display this data.